Hey, 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 good morning, everyone. And I salute the Maverick and you. We are going to have a rockin' webinar today. This is Greg Hague, as you likely know. And I'd like to first remind you Adam just reminded me to remind you to connect with us on social media. If you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, please do. You can even be a Facebook friend if you're a realtor, so do that. It's Greg Hague over on Facebook, Greg Hague on LinkedIn. And by all means, if you're not in our Voxer group for June, there's still time. I think we're going to hold and cut that off tonight, even though it started Monday. Is that okay? Sure. Yeah, we're going to do that. And for anyone who gets in last minute today, we will forward you the two Voxers from Monday and Tuesday. Today's won't go out until late today. Just to give you a preview of what Voxer is, that is an app that you can download to your smartphone and your computer. You can access it by computer. It's a phone-to-phone walkie-talkie, and every day I leave a 5-minute, we'll call it coaching tips, some savvy in real estate that you can listen to and play on demand. Well, this month is different. Here in June, what I'm doing is I'm doing a whole series of 20 Voxer audios. I do one a day each weekday, and I'm doing a series of 20 Voxer audios. That's 4 weeks, and it's all on non-traditional real estate. I am covering all of the non-traditional real estate companies, the agents, the alternatives, and I'm showing you how to compete against them. So first part of it is just to learn everything that's out there, learn their business models, and then number two, how to compete. So you can connect with me on Voxer. Just download it to your phone. It's free. Connect with me. I am Real Estate Maverick, singular, Real Estate Maverick, Greg Hague, Real Estate Maverick on Voxer. Send me a little, hey, I'm on Voxer. I'd love to be in the June group. Do that by, let's say, 3 or 4 o'clock Pacific today. We will still get you in the June group. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until July. So I'd like to start today. I have 4 questions that just came directly into me that I'll cover very quickly, and then we'll take the questions as they come in live. The first one is, what is the best, Greg? What is the best negotiating, tip, strategy thing that looking back that you ever did, that you think worked best for you? Well, that's easy. I grew up through the Dale Carnegie system and learned negotiating through there. And then when, in my years in real estate, I did a lot of things that would relate to, we'll call negotiation. Obviously used a lot of techniques, but there is one that I didn't even learn in Dale Carnegie, and this is just so good. So here it is. So if you have a contract for a seller, you have an offer on a home, you have listed, contract for a seller, and the seller is hesitant to take it, but you really believe it's the right deal, you really believe they should, then I'm going to role play with you, and here's the way the conversation would go. So I would say to you, well, Mr. Jones, I want to, as I've told you, I think you should this is the contract. I do not think the buyer is going to go any higher. I think this is the best deal we're going to see. And let me do this. Can you just bear with me for a moment? And I'd like to paint a picture. And would that be okay? And I'll say, well, sure. And I'd say, all right, what I'd like to do is for you to think of yourself right now in the role of a buyer, not a seller, because you're really not a seller. And let me explain why. If you reach down and sign this contract, we know it's a qualified buyer. We've checked that out. It's a good deal. The contract will likely close. So really, by not signing this contract, you're essentially buying your home back at this price. So you're really not a seller, you're a buyer, because if you reach down and sign it, it's sold. So if you don't, you've essentially decided to buy the home back at the offering price. Now, here's what I want to ask you. Get the emotion out of this, because it's really just about the money right now. You've decided to move from the home, and a lot of people have a lot of emotion with homes, but here it's just about the money. So here's the deal. If you were an investor and you had, let's say it's $340,000 contract here, but you would like to get $350,000, $355,000, but $340,000, knowing that your home's been on the market a month or 2 months or whatever it is, knowing that we've not had a better contract, knowing that this is right in the sweet spot of where the comps are, let me ask you, if you had $340,000 and you were an investor, is this where you'd put your money? Of all the investments out there, all the houses, all the commercial property, all the stocks, all the bonds, all the everything, would you believe that this was the single best deal in the world where you should put your $340,000? Because if you don't reach down and sign it, that's really what you're doing. You're buying this house back at $340,000 on the hope that you can end up with $345,000 or $350,000 in a week or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months. And you got to keep this one last thing in mind. Time is acid to the price of your home. So the longer it stays on the market, the more buyers will see that in MLS, and the less they are likely to offer and to pay. Okay, so that was question one. Question two, what is the most radical thing you ever did in real estate? What's the most radical thing? Well, the most radical thing was when I needed radical, when I was brand new in the business, and I came up with this program to get jump started because I was struggling to get listings. And that's the program I called Make Every Agent Your Listing Agent. And that was in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was in my early 20s. And everybody was turning me down, wouldn't list with me because I was brand new and they wanted more experienced agents. Naturally, I mean, heck, when I look back, I wouldn't have listed with me. And so I thought, what can I do? Because I knew listings were the name of the game. So I came up with this program, and it's called Make Every Agent Your Listing Agent. I'm not necessarily saying you should do this, not saying you shouldn't, but it really works. So what I did is I just took back then it was 7%, but let's just call it 6%. I just went to sellers with my next appointment. I went to the seller and I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make every agent your listing agent. And what I mean by that is I am going to co-broke my entire 6% commission. That is, every single agent here in Cincinnati, Ohio will make double what they'd make if they sold any other home if they sell yours. And I'm going to give everybody out there permission to go ahead and market your home so that they can try to find a buyer, bring over the buyer, and earn the entire 6%. In other words, I'm making everyone like your listing agent. I said, you have nothing to lose. And by the way, you can cancel anytime if you're not thrilled with me every day. Well, and I said, so what do you have to lose? Why would you list with any one of those big name experienced agents out there when you can have them all when you list with me? I listed the next 10 homes in a row. Now, I know you think I was crazy and everybody around me thought I was crazy, but yeah, crazy. I crazied that one to the bank. I ended up only selling one of those homes. So I made 6% on that. And the other 9 I ended up selling for free, but 6 of those sellers bought a home through me. So I made 6 3% there. So I made essentially 8 3% commissions. And otherwise, over that period of a few months, I think I would have been still trying to struggle to get a listing. So I'm not saying you should, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying that was radical and it worked. Next question. What is the worst client you ever had? Oh gosh, my executive assistant wrote these down. I didn't see that one. The worst client ever had. Adam, am I allowed to talk about that? Worst client ever had?
Just don't use any names.
Okay, Mrs. Carter. She was totally.
You're not supposed to use any names.
Oh, hey, that was a long time ago. If Mrs. Carter's still around, then well, the world's worse off because of her.
Very good.
And I hate saying that, but honestly, I won't go into any detail other than said Roseanne, my wife, was selling real estate with me at the time. And if I asked Roseanne, of the hundreds, thousands of clients we've had over 35, 40 years in real estate, I said, Roseanne, what's the worst client we ever had? She said, oh, Mrs. Carter. I mean, she was like the total witch. But I won't go any further than that, other than to say there was nothing. Every single word out of her mouth was mean and nasty, and she just didn't like anything we did and didn't like us. I don't even know why she listed with us. I think she just wanted to torture us. But I mean, in the bottom line is, I'll just leave it at this. You say, well, Greg, why'd you even bother? Why didn't you just drop her and drop the listing? Well, let me tell you why. You should probably hear this, because Roseanne and I, just like a week or 10 days into it, it's like, why are we putting up with this abuse? And then I said, I'll tell you why. We were having lunch one day and I told Roseanne, I said, I'll tell you why. Because the best way to get even with Mrs. Carter is to take her money, is to get this house sold, whatever it takes, get her to sign off on a contract and get that commission. And we did. I mean, so I don't know, that's kind of mean. Should I be doing that live on this webinar?
You just did.
Okay. So, and the next one was give 2 things that everyone should do in real estate, easy things that everyone in real estate should do, but they don't. Well, that's a good question. I'll just do 2 real quick. One is, if you don't have a personal brochure, you do, but you should. Everybody in my coaching, I teach, that's just kind of an easy thing. But prior to going on listing appointments, I always had a personal brochure on me delivered over to the clients. It was such a cool thing. No realtors do it. And it just talked about me, my life, my family, why I was in real estate other than just for a commission check. And it just so broke the ice. So when I arrived on the listing appointment, the sellers always just said, oh, it was so great to read that about you. And it's just the best, warmest way to start off a listing appointment. So that's one thing I would do for sure. And I guess in today's world, another quick tip is, don't be a loser on LinkedIn. I talk about how 43%, based on, I think it was in Inman News, I saw it last year, 43% of home sellers, before they meet with an agent to interview them for listing their home, the survey showed 43% check out the realtor's LinkedIn profile. When we as a company look around at realtors' LinkedIn profiles, they are awful. I mean, so don't lose a listing before the listing appointment. Don't look like a loser on LinkedIn. Start working on and upgrading your LinkedIn profile. We have a course over here, on how to do it. You can buy our course. It's not that expensive, or not, but there you can Google it. And just the bottom line is, don't look like a loser on LinkedIn. So those are 2 easy things to do, easy tips. So there we go. Those are the 4 that came to me personally this morning by email. Adam, what do we have? Oh, by the way, this is the $100 challenge. We're running the $100 challenge today. And that means that if you can stump me on a real estate success question, not like the guy, whoever that was a couple of weeks ago.
Terry, I think.
Who was it?
Terry, I think.
Yeah, Terry?
Yeah.
Terry hit me with a question that had nothing to do with real estate success. We sent him the $100 anyway, but we're not doing that anymore. And it was like,
I applaud Terry. I think that was smart.
It was totally
he
had the gap in the system, gap in the herd. He's total maverick, Terry. It's just totally cool. I hope you got your $100. But he said, okay, Greg, so here's the deal. Come up with this one. In Arizona, if you commit a felony, how long do you have to report yourself to the Arizona Department of Real Estate? I didn't know. Now, we laughed about it afterwards and decided it's a good thing I didn't know, because, yeah, it's that kind of thing.
Terry just messaged him. He says, I'm asking better questions.
Better questions. Okay, Terry, good to have you on. All right, so here we go. So
okay, we got a bunch in here, so we got to kind of do.
Oh, the $100 challenge. Yeah, if you can stump me on a real estate success question, it's $100. And Terry, you don't qualify. You already got your $100.
Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go in the order that we have received, and we got a ton in from email. So we'll be asking some from email.
All right.
We'll be asking some that are.
All right, ton came in from email. Okay.
Okay, so here we go. First question is from Amy.
And by the way, you can ask questions online, or you can call 480-998-9900. That's our hotline. Yolanda's standing by, or email them to help@realestatemavericks.com, and or you can just put them in here if you know how to do that.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so from Amy. Amy says, what is the best way to convince agents to become part of my VIP circle? What are the most effective and least time-consuming ways to get their attention with the new listing?
Okay, so what Amy is referring to, Amy is obviously in our coaching program, and as part of our coaching program, for those of you who aren't, we teach pre-marketing strategy. We believe that one of the big boats that realtors miss today is in pre-marketing, pre-MLS marketing of homes. And I teach a 29-day, 22-step formula for doing that. And I won't go into great depth as to why we believe so deeply in pre-marketing, other than MLS starts tracking days on the market. So a lot of sellers will put their homes at MLS before they even beta test the price. Buyers tend to get in a higher price frame of mind when you can pitch to them that they have an opportunity to see a home before it's officially on the market. I mean, think about Apple and what Apple does in getting people standing in line before they introduce a new product. They just don't throw it on the shelf. So the question from Amy is, this VIP Inner Circle is one of the 22 steps that we recommend in our 22-step pre-MLS home marketing formula. And what it is you develop a circle of agents who you have agreed that when you list a property, right away you will let them know, so that they have before it goes in MLS, before you put up a sign, so that they have a first opportunity to show it and pitch it to their buyers, which buyers love. So any realtor who works buyers at all should love to just say yes. All they have to do is say yes. And then every time you list a property, they are the first to know, and they have a first opportunity to get their buyers over there. And the rule that we set up on our 22-step formula is that even you, the listing agent, cannot show it. You can't, this is no pocket listing. You cannot show it till you at least first make it available to your VIP Inner Circle of agents. And then on that first showing day, you can show it to any buyers you have, as well as your VIP Inner Circle of agents. So Amy's question is, how do I get started? How do I build this VIP Inner Circle of agents? Well, what I did, I mean, quite simply, and if I were just doing it today, Amy, I would reserve an hour a day, just an hour each day, because you build it over time. And I know everybody wants to do this by text message and email and mass everything, just get it done quick. That's just not the best way to do it. I can tell you for sure, there are a lot of things that you want to do in a high-tech way. This is not one of them. This is a chance not just to call real estate agents and say, and you don't get into how long you're going to hold them off the market or any of that. You just call real estate agents and say, hey, this is Greg Hagan. I work in your market if you don't know me. And I wondered, do you ever work buyers? So here's the talk track. Do you ever work buyers? Do you ever have buyers interested in buying in this market? And they'll probably say yes. If they say no, just say, well, okay, it's great meeting you and talking. You don't even care about them in the inner circle. But most realtors will say, yeah, well, occasionally I have buyers. Even realtors who say I primarily work the seller in, those sellers occasionally become buyers. So your first thing you say, do you ever work buyers? Do you ever have buyers for this market? And they'll say probably yes. And then you say, well, let me ask you a question. If when I list homes, we all know that buyers love to be the first to see homes. It gets them in a higher price frame of mind. It makes them more likely to pay a fair price. It makes it easier for you to sell the home. So what I'm doing is putting together a small group of agents in this community who, whenever I list homes, I'm going to let them be the first to know. Before I put up a sign, before I put it in MLS, I'm going to let those agents be the first to know. Would you just flip you an email? It'll have photos of the home. I'll take some quick photos, get them over in an email to you. Would you like to be part of that small elite group who I just inform when I get listings? And by the way, I'd love it if you do that for me as well. That's it. I mean, how do people say no to that? We have agents all over the country doing that and doing it that way, doing it personally. I know it takes a little more time, but you get to know people, you start building a relationship. And one of the things I found, Amy, is that so many of my listings, particularly when I was building my luxury home brokerage in Paradise Valley over that 10, 15 years when we were doing, I don't know, $150 million, $200 million a year in volume with just a small team and just making so much money, is one of the things that was so critical is to have a relationship with other realtors in the market, the realtors who didn't work for me, that weren't on my team. And that was one way to do it, to develop that. And I had this VIP inner circle of agents there, and I could just right now start listing the names of all these agents who I would always call and let know right away. We would inform. Back then, we just called them when we got the listings, but today I'd put it out in email. So there it is. And I will tell you, you don't have to, the idea isn't to try to build 100 agents overnight. In this VIP inner circle of agents. The idea is to build a group of agents who like you, trust you, who like what you're doing, who like the opportunity to know about your listings when you list them, before they are put in MLS or before they are before you put a sign up. And then you might ask them to do the same for you, so that even if you, and I teach the agents I coach to be focused on listings, not on buyers, but you should have at least one buyer partner. So if these agents in your VIP inner circle of agents let you know, then look what happens. You get first shot with your buyers at their listings, which is a totally good thing and totally doing the right thing for the buyers that are being handled by your team. I'll make one other comment about the VIP inner circle of agents, and that is that I got to a point in Paradise Valley with a lot of these agents where we would share them with each other. So a lot of the agents started thinking, what a good idea. So this VIP inner circle of agents that I built, it wasn't just me sharing mine and then them sharing their listings right when they got them, but a lot of us were sharing with everybody. So they were sharing with multiple people. And what a fun thing that you might even set up where it goes beyond just what I teach formally in the course. And that is where your VIP inner circle of agents is a group of agents where you might have a private Facebook group. Why don't you just do that? Just set up a private Facebook group that only, the people you put in it can be there. And that's where everybody can go in and post their new listings and put in a photo. So it's just right there. And it's just a closed group. And what a great way to build a VIP inner circle of agents where everyone is helping everyone. Okay.
I like that. Really smart technique with the Facebook group.
With the Facebook group. It's just an idea I had just now, but it's just one way to do it.
Totally applicable.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I'm a high-tech guy. High-tech guy, right. You betcha. Yeah.
All right, so that was good. Amy, thank you for that question. Appreciate it very much. We have Liz. Liz is next on our hot list here.
Hi, Liz. How are you this morning?
Liz says, knocking on doors in my farm is out of my comfort zone. How many times have we heard that? So many times. Do you have any ideas to make this warmer / less intimidating concept or process or whatever? Yeah,
absolutely. So I have a video course. It's called The 4 Pillars of Marketing, and it is designed purely, it's built around how to market to home sellers, not home buyers, not to advertise your listings, but it's purely the 4 ways over 35, 40 years of spending millions of dollars in advertising. And I mean literally millions, because it wasn't just me selling real estate, it was me building real estate firms. So spending millions of dollars, which strategies work best, that gave me the most bang for the buck. That is the most seller calls for the money I spent. And one of them is built. One of those pillars is built around traditional farming, but with several twists. So Amy, I'm going to talk to you about that. First, with respect to the going door to door. And I'm going to do this in 3 stages for you, how to approach this if you're uncomfortable, because a lot of agents are, and that's okay. So let's do the workaround, because you don't have to do it. So number 1, if you going door to door and just doing it like I'm a realtor, here's my flyer, here's my handout, here's my door hanger. And if you're ever thinking about selling your home, I'm amazing, I'm wonderful, would you please consider me? That is not the way to do farming. So that a lot of that is taught that way. There are different approaches and talk tracks, but that's not it. You do not do that. So let's start there. And doing that, I would be uncomfortable myself, quite frankly. So number 2, if you're going to go door to door, and then I'm going to give you a way not even to go door to door, do the same thing. Actually, going to give you 2 ways to not go door to door. But if you like exercise and you want to do something that's fun and that people will embrace you and you won't feel weird and uncomfortable like Sally, then you should definitely do the thing that worked best for me in the entire world of farming, and that was my community events newsletter, This is not you trying to solicit business. This is you once a month going out into your farm. That can be 100 homes, 300 homes, 500 homes. I built mine to several thousand homes, but I'll tell you how in a minute. And I produced every month an event newsletter that, like, this is right now we're in June. So my event newsletter would be for July. And I would look at here in Phoenix, all of the things that'll be happening in July in Phoenix. If I often give the example of the Blue Angels, because I'm a pilot and I love flying. Blue Angels are coming to town. The new movies that are opening, the new plays, the theater, the symphony, just anything. The Mud Mania, where the kids all get out and they take a whole park and they just squirt it and turn it to mud, and kids flood in. Thousands of kids flood in from around the valley. All those things. Whatever would be happening in July, every month I would hand out in my community. And this isn't just things happening in the community. No. This is happening all around. So I just went around and handed that out. And I had on the back, I mentioned that, I was a realtor, and hey, you want to sell your home for more than it's worth? Ask me, talk to me first. I would promote whatever my compelling message was, but that was de minimis. That was small. That was not in their face. That was on the back. They, of course, saw it, and I got so much business from that. In fact, I did it for years and years, and when I eventually stopped, just because I got so busy with building companies and doing other things. I mean, I can't believe the number of people that said, "Oh, Greg, please don't, whatever, don't stop." So that's number 2. That's a way to do it in more of a less selly way. Number 3, just have somebody do it for you. That's what I did after farming personally with Roseanne. Roseanne and I did it together when we first got started in Arizona. 1981, 82. We did it together, but then I just had a marketing partner. I had them do it. And boy, did that allow me to expand my farm reach enormously. So I didn't go door to door. I just paid somebody to go door to door. And like, they don't have to be licensed. It's no big deal. They just should be nice looking and personal. That's personable. So that's strategy number 3, is just pay somebody. And then number 4, targeted Facebook marketing. In today's world, if you don't even want to go out there, pay anybody, you can narrow down geographically to a farm area, to just a certain farm area. And that's correct, Adam, right?
Within about 1 square mile.
And just powder that with Facebook marketing. It's inexpensive, it's effective. And that's, would you say that's fair to say that I didn't have that back when I was doing this, but in today's world, Adam, that would be why would one not use that for farming, right?
Absolutely not. And I'll use the example that we use. So I run all of our advertising here in this company, and we get about between 40 and 60 leads, people that are interested in what it is that we're doing, what Greg's doing.
And coaching,
every single day from Facebook advertising.
Yeah, look at that, guys.
And we're spending about 38 cents per lead, you guys. 38 cents.
Look at that.
That's insane.
Yeah, so we get 40, because it's fair to say, so we're a coaching training company, and obviously we want to get our message out to agents. So
yeah,
40 to 60 agents a day inquire about our coaching just from Facebook marketing at a cost of 38 cents a lead. Now, I think in the world of real estate, you'll spend more per lead, considerably more per lead that comes in, I would guess. But what if it's $5, $10? You care? I mean, these are people interested in selling their home, right? It's $20. It doesn't matter. So bottom line is, if you spend $100 on Facebook marketing and get even one good client lead and end up with a listing, it's a home run. So Amy, I hope that helps you. That's Liz. What I would do. Oh, I'm sorry, Liz?
Yeah, Liz.
Oh, it was Amy before. Liz, I hope that helps you. But that is what I would do in today's world. But I will tell you, even with the Facebook marketing, which I would definitely do, because it just be whatever your budget is. If you've got a budget of $50 a month, then $50 a month. I would also, at a minimum, hire somebody inexpensively to go out and do that community events newsletter. That is such a home run. Will bring you so much business. So, and then you don't have to do it yourself. Okay.
Very good.
Good.
We have, okay, Terry. Terry's back.
Oh gosh, here we go.
Okay, so Terry says during your 29
Is Terry going to be like my nemesis here? Is this?
I think Terry's your ally.
Ally. Okay, Terry. All right. Good.
Terry says during your 29-day fast sale program, do you recommend the seller get their own inspection and do necessary repairs before you put it on the market? Question mark?
Yeah, great question. Okay, so Terry, I always love to have my sellers do their own inspection, get the repairs done. This has 22-step, 29-day formula or not. The two things that I, and a lot of realtors I think are really getting onto that and doing that. And I tell the sellers how important that is. Number one, it's critical that they get their arms around any issues with the home. That's number one. Number two, that they get those things fixed so that the buyer's still going to do the inspection, as you well know. But you see what'll happen is the buyer will get an inspection report. It'll still have stuff on it. Even after the seller gets the inspection pre-done and does all the repairs, you know that the buyer's still going to get, of course, we'll get an inspection. You could give the buyer the inspection the seller does. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. I was never sure whether it was even, that's something I wanted to do, because you know the buyers are always going to do their own. So I thought the best strategy was usually, and I tried it both ways, to get the inspection, tell the sellers how important that is, get everything repaired and perfect. Just then the buyer makes the offer, the buyer just orders their inspection. And I mean, it comes back like totally almost clean. They'll find a few things, but it's like, that's going to so impress the buyer that the seller took such remarkable care of the home, rather than the buyer even knowing that the seller had the inspection. It showed like 300 things and they got it all fixed. So, that's smart. Well, no, really,
it's like getting your car detailed before you
getting your car detailed and everything perfect.
Yeah.
Before you trade it in or try to sell it to a buyer. Exactly. Yeah, because it tends to project the image that the seller has taken amazing care of the home, which makes buyers feel more comfortable in the contract and more likely to stick. So the answer is yes. Also, one of the things I did that is, we'll call it similar to that, is I tried to, on my listing appointments, never let price have anything to do with, let's say, the seller's decision to list with me. You know how sellers are always asking you, well, what do you think you can get me for the home? What do you think you can get me for the home? Greg, do you think you can get me more than Terry can get me for the home? That kind of thing. And I so encourage my sellers. I had always had an appraiser who would do, maybe we'll call it discounted appraisals for my clients. They're easy to find. And I recommend to the sellers that before we price it, I'd have them list with me. Always have them list with me, but I would say TBD if we could in the list price, to be determined, and then have them order and then pay for an appraisal. So that, and then the deal is, I'm sure you know that you can set parameters for an appraiser. For example, you can say to an appraiser, give me an appraisal price that this home will sell for, that it would make it likely to sell in 2 weeks or less. Okay, so, or give me an appraisal that is the absolute maximum, top of the market. What do you think at the maximum, everything being perfect, right buyer, very little time on the market, the weather being beautiful, what do you think, what would this home sell for? So obviously that's the kind of appraisal. Those are the parameters that you want to give to the appraiser and get the most aggressive appraisal that he or she can ethically do. That was such a good tool in a variety of ways. Number one, it helped me get my seller's head in the right place so they could understand what the absolute peak top of the market was for their home, and that if we got even close to that, we were doing really, really good. And the other thing is that it was a great tool I used to justify to buyers why they should pay that price. And so it had so many benefits for so little money for the sellers. And a lot of times I'd even tell the sellers, if you'll do this, if you'll cover the cost of the appraisal, I'll take it out of my commission at closing. I'll reimburse you out of my commission at closing, because it was generally only a few $100. And I got most of my sellers to do that. So those are two tips, Terry, that really, really worked well for me. Okay.
Really, really good. Like that a lot.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense that you can. I didn't know that you could sort of have that conversation and set those boundaries, kind of paint the picture.
Oh, most don't. That with an appraiser, an appraisal is not an appraisal. Right. There are different kinds of appraisals, and banks just generally order an appraisal. but you can ask for a quick sale appraisal. You can ask for an appraisal that is the highest possible amount that this home could justify.
Awesome.
And by the way, doing that also gives you a tool for when the buyers buy and the buyer's bank lender orders an appraisal, that you can put that appraisal you have in the hands of the appraiser if you're worried that the appraisal may not come in, that he may not appraise it high enough. I know one of the agents I coached just yesterday, Kristen, told me that she had an appraisal come in. She can't believe this, $37,000 below. It wasn't even that expensive a home, few $100,000 home, $37,000 below the sale price. She told me, yeah. Just she sent me a boxer on that. You bet.
Okay, so I have a question that came in via email from a guy by the name of Tim M. And he's got a pretty complex question here, so I'm going to ask it rather than having anybody type it in. I'm just going to ask it to you so you can kind of go through this because it's a pretty interesting question.
Okay.
And he might win the $100 if he's on here today because this is a good one.
Oh, wow.
He says, I have a $12 million, 26-acre land listing in Monterey County, California, which the city has planned for specific use. The conceptual land use plan, they're already invested.
Okay.
The seller's already invested $400K into, let me see what he's saying. He's invested $400K into this property. Okay. It's right in a very good location, sort of the.
And this is 12 acres. Okay.
No, 26 acres.
26 acres. Okay.
Transportation corridor right there between Northern and Southern California.
Okay.
Really, really high density area. And his question here is that he's trying to figure out what are some additional ways, how and where, to market to buyers, investors, builders, et cetera. He's never really worked a sale like this before, maybe at this magnitude, maybe just raw land. I don't know specifically, but that's what he's looking for. He's looking for a little bit of how can he get people interested in this crazy piece of property he's trying to sell for $12 million.
Okay. So, and first name again?
Tim.
Okay, Tim. Well, the bad news for you is that you're not going to win the $100. The good news for you is I'm going to give you a strategy that you're going to absolutely love that may earn you, let's say if you have this property at a 3% list side commission, and what do you say, $12 million? $12 million, so that's 300, and then so that's $360,000. So you'll be sending me $100. We get this deal done. All right, so here's the strategy. This is a strategy that I recommended to one of my, Kristen Gregg, who was one of my amazing coaching clients right here in the Valley. And she listed a home that was very, very unique, high-end home, $17,800,000 that I'm proud to say I helped her with. And the strategy that I would use with your 26-acre, $12 million property is this. You want to give, obviously you want to give other realtors an incentive to sell it. You're already doing that with a 3% co-broke. Okay, so we know that. And obviously, it's obvious to just say that you want to get that message of that property being available. You want to identify the realtors who sell those kind of properties, and you want to get that message out to them. That's obvious. So no issue there. But here is the strategy, and it's like really working on this super high price range home. And it was just an idea I had. And I think I'm going to actually incorporate this, Tim, into my core training because I think it's such a good idea and I think it will help my agents around the world so much. So here it is. What you do is you set up a two-tier system. Tier one is obviously any agent who sells it makes whatever your co-broke you're offering is. We'll call it 3%. Tier two, any agent who promotes that property to another agent and the other agent sells it, that they promoted it to, that they talked to about it, that they mentioned it to, the agent who did the mentioning makes a 0.5%. You just pull that 0.5% out of your end if it happens. So what? There's a lot of money involved in this. Or you just have the seller pay it. The seller probably could care less if you get this thing sold. So the idea is this, and here's the way that would work. So you put the message out to every agent who might be an agent, any single agent out there. If you know, so here's exactly how it would go. Here's this property I have, $12 million, 26 acres, amazing location. Obviously, if you have a buyer, sell it. But if you happen to run across any realtors who you think work with those kind of buyers or might have a buyer, then you work with those kind of buyers or actually have a buyer. If you pass along the information on this property to them and you register their name with me, that's you, Tim, you register the name with me that you did pass along that information, then if that agent sells it, let's say within the next 6 months, just put some time frame on it. If that agent sells it to any buyer within the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, whatever you want, you earn 0.5% in addition to them earning their, we'll call it 3%. Now, so that's the concept. So specifically, how might that work? Because we had to think through a process that would make it work well without every bunch of agents wanting 0.5%. So, and spreading it around, but you having not control. So it goes like this. That's what you would spread out to the community. Well, that's really unusual. Nobody does that. So that's going to get people's attention. Agents are going to think, wow, I can earn 0.5%, not by selling it, but just passing it along to other agents who might sell it. I mean, why wouldn't agents do that in their office? The people they know, put it out there, in their Facebook, et cetera. So here's what they have to do. In order to qualify, an agent has to do these simple 3 things. Number 1, they have to inform another agent about it, and they have to do it verbally. It cannot be through an ad, a Facebook post, that kind of thing. They have to verbally, either in person or on the phone, tell another agent about your property. Number 2, they have to confirm. You just would have this in your little list of rules, how you qualify. Number 2, they have to follow up that conversation with an email to the agent they spoke with, and the email must just make the statement that, hey, this is to not to verify. This is I really enjoyed talking to you about, and then Tim's 12 acres. I'm sorry, $12 million, 26-acre property, and you just whatever. You wouldn't say that, but just what the property is. And here are some photos, or here's a link to the website, or here's whatever. And Tim, it would just be a link to wherever they can find your information on the property. Then you could just set up, if you want to keep it super simple and not even have to build a registration page or a landing page, you could do that for the property, where realtors just go in and register the names of the realtors who they spoke with. But you could just make it even super simple. Set up a Gmail account that's like the address of this property or something at gmail.com, something nobody'd have, but that would identify this property, and tell all the realtors, when you do this, also copy, when you send the email to the realtor who you spoke with and you're verifying that you spoke with them about the property and it has the link to my website, just copy this Gmail account. Now, you're not even going to look at that thing. You're just going to be a Gmail account, and it might get 50, 100, 200, 500. You don't know how many emails, copies it'll get. It doesn't matter. You're not even going to look at it. So then what will happen, what we're finding, and Kristen would tell you, with this high-priced property, we've got agents all over. Kristen's with Keller Williams, and she's got tons of Keller Williams agents that are all spreading this all through Keller Williams all over the country. I mean, it's just like, kind of a one-level network marketing. But the bottom line is, you don't even have to look at this Gmail account until the property sells. And then you've got an agent. You've sold the thing, you sold it, and it's an agent. And you will ask that agent how they found out about it. Then you will ask them specifically, did you find out about it from such and such an agent? If so, you go in and check and make sure it was validated in the email. So there it is. The reason I spent a little time on that, Tim, is because that is a really interesting strategy to market any property any of you have out there in order to get more interest in it, and something unusual that agents aren't used to hearing. Okay.
Really creative.
Yeah.
I don't know if you should have told everybody that on this live webinar.
Oh,
really
totally.
Good.
Yeah, that's what these are for.
Secrets, guys. No, that's our secrets.
Yeah, this is one we're planning to maybe build a whole course around how to do this with registration, the whole thing. So I mean, think about that. Giving every realtor out there an incentive to help you sell your properties.
Well, I think one of the biggest mistakes most business owners, not even just realtors, make is they try and leverage and market to people they know. It's not about who you know.
Right.
It's about who you know that
knows somebody else.
Who you need to know. Right. So you got to figure out how to get that compelling message out there and entice people.
And what I've actually thought about on that strategy is how to even take it another level deep. But just having a time to work through that so that you can actually exactly. You get it, to take it 2 levels deep. I mean, you can imagine how crazy this one property, everybody in the world's out, hey, I want to make 0.5%, and then I want to make 0.5%.
50,000 agents
trying to sell one property. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we got one from Sunny.
Okay, hi, Sunny.
Sunny says, I want my buyer leads to be pre-approved.
Is this Sunny like S-O-N-N-Y, the Sunny? Hey, Sunny, how you doing? Your Sunny's in my coaching.
I want my buyer leads to be pre-approved.
Well, who doesn't?
For a loan before I show them homes.
Me too. Well, show them homes.
How do I do that?
Sunny's not in my training.
I don't think this is our Sunny.
Oh, Sunny, yeah, I mean, we show them homes. We don't allow agents. No agents in my coaching are allowed to show homes, Sunny. We're not. We don't let anybody show homes.
Well, just in case you were going to help.
Okay. All right. So what's the question again? That took to be total off balance that somebody's showing homes.
I know we're used to listing. Okay,
yeah.
I want my buyer
all we do is list homes.
I want my buyer leads to be pre-approved for a loan before I show them homes. How do I do that?
Well, I don't know. I think I'm missing something here. Wouldn't you just have them? You would have a lender of choice. I always did. Mortgage brokers, people I work with, and you would send the buyer over to be pre-approved. Where they, as you know, what they do is they take a quick loan app. They usually do it on the phone. They check credit. And if the person, based on what they represented to the lender, appears to qualify for the loan, then they get a pre-approval letter, which, by the way, Sunny, means nothing. Well, I shouldn't say it means nothing. What it means is that the buyer, based on what the buyer said to the lender, and based on the fact that they probably had serviceable credit, that they have a, let's say, higher likelihood of being approved than someone who you might not have do that. You do understand that that doesn't bind any lender to making the loan to any buyer, but it's better than not. So you can, I'm sorry if I'm not, could I be missing anything there? I mean, that's just what you do. So you just have somebody you work with and trust, a mortgage lender, and you get a pre-approval letter. And it's a great thing to do if you're working buyers, because generally as listing agents, and I coach listing agents, we want to see the buyer's pre-qualification or pre-approval letter before we would recommend a contract to our sellers.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Pretty simple answer, I think.
Yeah. But good question. And that I would just make sure you have a mortgage lender, mortgage broker, somebody you trust, and work with them constantly to do that for you.
Again, just communicates to building relationships in the industry.
Right.
So that you have the trusted, whether it's an appraiser, whether it's whatever.
And one of the things, speaking of building relationships in the industry, I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar that all of you, if you're not in one of my Voxer groups, you should be. And we have Voxer groups for agents who aren't even in my coaching, just to get a little preview of what my coaching is about. So you can connect with me on Voxer and we'll put you in that. Well, the reason I bring that up is you can, if you pay $3.99 a month, you can upgrade to Voxer, that's VOXER Pro. And what a great tool that is. We're going to do a whole course on that. What a great tool that is to communicate with your client, your home sellers, your home buyers, Sunny, to communicate with your other people you work with, like your title rep, your mortgage rep, et cetera. And that's what caused me to bring that up, that this is a great way that you can just walkie-talkie back and forth and people listen on demand. You can send attachments, you can send texts. So you ought to check that out, because I would, Voxer didn't exist back when I was selling. It's a recent thing, but I would definitely have my preferred home inspector, my preferred appraiser, my preferred mortgage officer, my preferred title officer, all these people, I would have them on Voxer so I could quickly and easily communicate with them.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, good technology.
Yeah.
We've got Valerie.
Valerie, hi Valerie, how are you?
I've been going through your trainings, and I'm not sure if I've gotten to this yet. Will you briefly explain how the 29-day and 990 work together in application or practice and not just advertising?
Sure, absolutely. So hi, Valerie, by the way, glad you're on the webinar. So let me explain for those who don't know those, let me do a very brief explanation of what each of those strategies is. The 29-day, 22-step formula, of course, and I explained that earlier, is our pre-marketing formula, which I highly recommend. Either you subscribe to ours and do in our coaching, or you develop something of your own. Don't just throw homes on the market like a loaf of bread. So that's a pre-MLS marketing formula. The 990 opportunity is where you simply give home sellers the option to hold their own homes open whenever they choose. And if they find their own buyer who's not working with a real estate agent, then your commission, instead of being whatever your percentage would be just $9.90. And at first blush, a lot of people look at that and say, oh my gosh, why would you charge so little? Because you still have to close the deal. They don't sell their own home. You're doing everything. And the reason is to give home sellers an enormous carrot, an enormous incentive to hold their home open a lot, because we know that it's not common for buyers to walk through who don't have agents or aren't with agents and buy homes. I mean, if and just say, I'll take it at an open house. I mean, if that were the case, we'd all be holding open houses if buyers walked in a lot and just said, oh, I like that, and they weren't represented. So not a lot of homes will sell that way, but the opportunity to list homes by giving sellers that opportunity and market, sell your home, complete full service and a commission as low as $990. That's a powerful, powerful, compelling message, way to get in a lot of doors, get a lot more listings. And the price you pay is once in a while, they'll sell at $990, but even that's a great thing because then you market the $990 with a picture, a photo of you and the happy home seller. And maybe they do a quote that says, hey, I sold my home with Greg Hagan 43 days and saved $28,000 with his $990 commission. Put that out to a market and you want to see what happens. So those are the two strategies that we're talking about. So how do you integrate them? Not in the marketing, and we know you have downloadable materials where you can do that, but in the process. Here's what I recommend. So first of all, I recommend that a home seller wait. What I tell home sellers, and I did this for years because I had both strategies, is I said, let's run the pre-marketing process first. If we don't get it sold in the 29 days with the pre-marketing process, then it'd be best for the $990 to kick in. Now, I wouldn't restrict a seller from doing it. Remember, you want the listing. You don't want to say, no, 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 I won't let you do it during the 29 days, and therefore they don't list with you. The goal is to get the listing. But I recommended to the sellers that they hold off on doing that, on holding their own home open. Why? I had a reason. And the reason was, during this 29 days, you don't want to sign, you don't want buyers who you're trying to get in that higher priced frame of mind because they are being told that this home is not officially on the market. You don't want them to drive by on a Sunday and a Saturday and see the owner with open signs out holding the home open. It just takes away that aura of specialness I used to explain to home sellers. And most all would agree with that, to let me run the process. And I would always say, if during the 29-day process, we don't get you a price that really works for you with the commission included in the price, then you always have that option after the 29-day process. And so that's how I recommend it. However, sometimes home sellers will say, no, I'm so excited about holding my home open and doing that, and even want to do it during the 29-day. Okay, that's fine. Remember, the goal is, again, to get the listing and to conform with the seller's wishes. We're here to serve them. We're not here to argue with them about what's best for them. We're just here to advise them on what we think is best for them. So then I would say to the sellers, well, let's do this then, no problem. But let's make sure we restrict your open houses to 1 day a week, let's say on Sunday, because I'm building up anticipation, excitement all week. My big showing day, as you know, Val, is Saturday. That's where you're trying to get your showings, and you're trying to get them a half hour apart so people see each other coming and going. So then I would say to the sellers, why don't you do, that's fine, but let's make those 1 to 5, where you do those 1 to 5 on Sundays. Another way to get the sellers to be okay not doing the open houses, or at least doing them no more than once a week for a few hours, is to let them know that they can also reach out to the friends, people they know, to their community, Facebook, whatever, and try to find their own buyer that way who's not with a real estate agent. And as you know, when sellers do this, I suppose you know, but I'll tell you over my practice, I encourage sellers to aggressively reach out into people they knew, the neighborhood, anywhere else, to try to find a buyer. And that if the buyer ended up not being represented by a realtor, that the commission was $990. Well, a lot of sellers found buyers, but the buyers were working with realtors. So we sold the home. I made my 3%. The co-broke made the 3%. The seller was happy because the home sold. Thousands and thousands and thousands of $990 listings that were listed on that basis. And the sellers, most all sold, 7 out of 8 sold on a percentage commission. Never, I don't even remember a seller that was ever unhappy. They're always happy. Okay. They just want to get their home sold.
Good.
All right.
I like it. A good way to integrate both. All right. So we have got a lot of questions.
Got a lot of questions.
Everybody's
Okay.
hungry for knowledge.
Hungry for knowledge. Yeah.
All right. So
well, let's hope I'm filled with answers.
Let's hope you're filled with answers. I have Melissa, and I don't know which one. We've got so many Melissas, some in our training, some in not. Good question though, must not be in. What's the one thing I can go and do right after this webinar that will help me get a listing in the next 3 to 7 days? I desperately need a listing in the next week, but feel like I'm spinning my wheels currently.
Totally. That's really a good question. Melissa, is it?
Melissa, yeah.
So Melissa, that is a totally good question. So let me, the one thing is this, I've got to take you through a couple, 3 steps here, 2 little tracks, and this will be good for everyone. The first thing is you need a compelling, sticky message. That's what most all realtors miss. You need a compelling, sticky message. It makes no sense to go out, whether you're going into a community, going to buy owners, going to expireds, whatever. You need a compelling, sticky message, something that's going to make people pay attention because you stand out. And we teach those as part of our coaching, obviously. In fact, we have all these downloadable materials, but, don't list your home until, I sell homes. Learn how I can sell your home for more than it's worth. Talk to me first. Don't list with anyone else. Do you see how I can sell your home above the comps, above any other realtor? Or, sell your home complete full service, our 29-day formula for more than it's worth, a commission as low as $990. Whatever it is, you need a really strong, compelling message. That's number one. Number two, I would do two things. Like I love that. Get a listing next 3 to 7 days. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do that. So you take an area of 100, 200 homes, or I just do Facebook marketing. Heck with that. I would do the compelling message, and I would pick a geographic area, and I would put a little budget on it. Let's say $50, just as a gamble. I put $50 on that over 7 days so that you can see if you can get a call with that compelling message into a specific geographic area. That's number one. Now I'm going to give you the no-brainer approach. So that may or may not work, but you wanted something that'll work for sure. Now I'm going to tell you exactly what'll work for sure. The second thing is, you have buy owners in your area. Everybody has buy owners in your area. So you pull up Craigslist, you subscribe to a service like RedX, whatever. You identify a few buy owners in your area, and here's what you tell them. Go over in person. You don't have to call them. Just go over in person, knock on the door, and here's what you tell them. You say, hey, did you happen to know that very few people do, or you wouldn't be trying to sell buy owner, that you can have your cake and eat it too, that you can actually be a buy owner, that you can actually continue to try to sell your home yourself, have all the benefits you're having now, and yet have me and the entire real estate community aggressively working to sell your home and have it in MLS at the same time. And unlike those MLS services where you can pay to play, write them a check for $300, $500, $700 and all that kind of stuff, not at all. There's zero upfront fee. And only if any of us, me or any other realtors, produce a buyer at a price that covers our commission, do you ever have to sell. Did you know that such a thing exists? Most buy owners say no, because from their viewpoint, it doesn't. They wouldn't be buy owner. So basically, it's just like you give them both the best of both worlds. And then, of course, you're thinking to yourself, well, what is this, Greg? Well, if I say that, how do I back that up? Well, you do it simply this way. So they said, no, I didn't. So they say, well, how does that work? You say, well, here's how it works. And it's even better than what I just said. Number one, you'll sign my marketing agreement. Now that's really your listing agreement, but you're just going to call it a marketing agreement. You sign my marketing agreement that allows me to put your home in MLS and allows me to, and I would talk to them about your 29, your fast sale formula. If you do that, do pre-marketing, but whatever it is, they would sign your listing and you say, this is going to expose your home to all the other agents out there through my calls, through my marketing, and through MLS. And also, so you start there, number one, and then you would explain to them, and this is so important. This is the buy owner now, because you should do this today. Just find a couple, 3 buy owners and list one by tonight. And by the way, send me an email, greg@realestatemaveriks.com, and let me know that this worked for you in the next day or two when you get a listing, because we're going to get you a listing in the next few days. I know I'm not supposed to do it, Greg. I know, but whatever. It's just, I don't care. She needs a listing. This is what we do. Adam, no, this is where the rubber meets the road. Okay, so
I'm excited.
Yeah, so buy owners are your easiest target on this. So essentially, what you're doing is offering them that $990 opportunity that I just talked about. Only you're removing the $990 if they want to do the work themselves. So the deal would be in the listing contract. You'd have them sign the listing, and it would, number one, have a cancellation clause in. Say, by the way, any given day, you're not totally thrilled, you can cancel with me. So you start there. Make it easy. Make their decision easy. That's number one. Number two, you put in a provision that says in the event that you, the home seller, find your own buyer who's not working with a real estate agent, that I'll charge you nothing. You can just sell your home. Or then you go to $990. Or you put in there, if you want my help, me negotiating, doing all the things that I do, I'll do it for just $990. They're going to love that. Okay, so that's the third thing. And then so that's your presentation. And the last thing you say is you need to tell the buy owner that, do you realize that even though you're probably offering to pay a 3% co-broke to realtors, that they're not showing your home for the most part. They're actually good qualified buyers. They're not even driving down your street. Agents who have buyers do their best to avoid showing those buyers, driving those buyers down streets that have buy owner signs, because they're afraid their buyers will go directly to the buy owner and buy it and cut them out. So you're losing so much business, so many showings, so much of the market by just doing it buy owner and not doing this best, what you might call it, the best of both worlds plan. So that is what you do with respect to buy owners. I would also do the Facebook marketing with your compelling message. It's impossible that if you present this to 5 buy owners, and you got to get your talk track down. That's really important. You got to get smooth at presenting this, where it's just like, how can you not do this? You get your talk track down. It's impossible if you just see 5 buy owners that you won't get at least 1, if not 2 listings. It's just impossible. And you have my email, contrary to Adam frowning at me, you have my email. So you let me know what happens. I'm serious. Okay.
Very good. All right. So we got.
And by the way, if you sign up on Voxer and connect with me on Voxer, I'll even take 10 minutes. You just say, this is you, and remind me of the question, and I'll give you the talk track on Voxer. Everything I just said here, I'll just put that right on an audio that you can listen to over and over again, just the way I would present that to a buy owner.
Nice.
There it is. All right.
Good.
Yeah.
Bulletproof. All right, here we go. So we got like 6 questions, and we've got 6 minutes.
6 minutes, 6 questions.
1 minute per question.
All right.
All right. So Robert says, how much time should we take to do our listing presentation over and above the bonding and relating to the sellers?
Well, the best answer I can give you is as long as it takes to reach down and sign. So you're obviously in my coaching, or you've watched my videos, so you know how important that is. Starting with the personal brochure and the pre-research on the sellers, and walking through the home and the bonding and all that. So remember that when you sit down to actually give what we're going to call the formal listing presentation, either in the living room or in the kitchen, you always want to start with your personal backstory, and I have videos on that, et cetera. That's so critical. And then you want to have 2 parts to your listing presentation. Part 1 are at least 3 reasons why you, and as a person, are the single best qualified agent to sell their home at the highest price. And you want to tie each of those 3 reasons to high price, high price, high price. And then you want to talk about your process, your product, whether it's 990, 29-day. What is your unique process for selling their home that the home sellers will logically and transparently see is better for them, even if they didn't like you? So how long would that take? I don't know. I mean, a typical listing presentation with me would take somewhere in the vicinity of 10 to 15 minutes, not long at all. Quickly go through my backstory, talk to them about how important it is that that whomever you hire is focused on one thing, highest price, and has the skills to do it. I would just say this, I want to give you 3 reasons. There are many, 3 reasons why I alone am the single best agent to get you the highest price. Me as a person, I would go through those. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3. And then I would say, now the real key, the real foundation to what I'm doing is my process for selling your home. It's so different than anyone else's. And I call it taking positions against tradition. That's really important. Taking positions against tradition when you move over to your process. And you then would say, now every other realtor, they do this, 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 and this. They'll list your home. They'll put it in MLS within 48 hours. They'll put up a sign. They'll do this, they'll do that. Now, let me tell you what I do. And then I would take whatever your tweaks to the process are and go through those. And that's pretty much it. Doesn't have to take long at all. I mean, I could do that in probably 5 or 6 minutes, but I didn't, because it was always conversational. I would say it took 15 minutes, 20 minutes, never half hour or an hour or anything like that. That's unless they just had a gazillion questions.
Yeah, good, very good.
Okay.
April says, what is your opinion on farming via mail, i.e. postcards, door hangers, and letters? Well,
farming is actually going out there. And the bottom line is this: farming is just going out there is much more effective. There's nothing wrong with postcards and letters and that type of thing. But whether you go out there, the best answer is whether you go out there in person or whether you're doing mailing. Think not about making what you do an advertisement as much as making what you do a benefit, something engaging, something personal, something of benefit to the people you're doing it for. And so I gave one example, and that was my community events newsletter. Another thing I did is I had a bunch of kids in the neighborhood I was working. I put together a little newspaper that featured all the cool things that all the kids in the neighborhood and the community that I was farming was doing. And I had kids that were writing the articles. They were reporters at school and all that. I got permission, of course, from all the parents. I mean, that turned into a whole thing in and of itself. And it had nothing to do with really going door to door, other than the kids then all distributed this newspaper we put together featuring all the kids and all their cool things they were doing, et cetera. So that's the kind of thing I recommend in farming, whether you're doing it by mail or whether you're doing it door to door.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. All right, and we've got Diane. Diane says, how can I convince a seller to list with me who is an acquaintance and came to me for free advice about how to go about selling his home himself without any fix-up, which it needs? Despite a better strategy I suggested, he still is determined to go himself to the We Build Ugly Houses people.
Oh, we buy ugly houses.
Yeah,
I know. It's not we build.
She put by, I said build.
I know.
She did it correctly.
Yeah. There are some builders that build ugly houses, but I'm well aware of we buy ugly houses. Well, I mean, gosh, why in the world would someone? So let me just give you the answer. Why? I can't even imagine why they buy ugly houses at lower prices. So here's what I would say. And there's some people you can't fix, and some people you can't convince. They just have their mind made up, and that's just the way it is. Now, that being said, here's what I'd say. First of all, for a fact, a company that buys homes, they can call themselves anything they want. They can say whatever they want. They're buying homes to make a profit. And if you're buying homes to make a profit, given the cost of buying, the cost of selling, and the cost of carrying, you have to buy a home substantially below what that home would sell for on a normal retail basis, particularly if you have a realtor who is equipped like you are to get to bring in a home at top of the market price because of the strategies they use. So you asked really two questions there. Is number one, it seemed like the seller is wanting to do it himself. Well, the way to solve that is by using the 990 opportunity that we just talked about, where you work on it and he works on it also. So that's number one. Number two is just to convince him, maybe do the 29-day, 22-step formula. That's the way to do it. I think that's what I do. I'd say, look, before you do We Buy Ugly Houses, before you do anything else, just give me 29 days. Let me show you how much more I can get you for your home fast in just 29 days. Let me run this process. That gets you in bed with it. Well, that wasn't the right thing to say. That gets you more, you already know this person, that gets you in, you know what I mean, in bed, in business sense, in line with the seller. He sees you working on the home, and it's just a 29-day commitment that he's making, not the typical 6-month listing. I mean, the idea is to just get him tiptoeing down the road, and maybe you'll get it sold in the 29 days. So that would be the second thing. And then the third thing, if those don't work, I think I'd revert back to my most radical strategy. I mean, what have you got to lose? Say, well, look, at least give this a try. Make every agent your listing agent. Let me take it, list it, run a quick pre-marketing on it, on a normal basis, maybe 11 days, and then put it in MLS for 2 weeks where it's a full co-broke, a full 6% to anybody who sells it, or whatever you want to pay less, a full 5%. I mean, the idea is, even if you want to make money on it, for sure, and this gives you the opportunity to do that. But even if you don't, even if you have to use something so radical that you sell it and don't make money, the bottom line is you will have had a sale. You'll have a client there. And I know it's an acquaintance, but the bottom line is you still want to be that person's realtor for life. And so,
and the testimonial you could get.
And the testimonial you'll get would be off the chart.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. I like it. Okay, well, that is all the questions we had. We had a flurry of questions there at the end. Closing statements. Closing statement.
Well, let's see. I want to remind you guys to sign up for Voxer. Hopefully all of you are on Voxer with me, but if not, you can still get in the June Voxer group. That's number one. Number two, connect with all the normal stuff. Connect with me on social media, definitely on LinkedIn. Definitely love to have you for a Facebook friend. I do some cool things over there on Facebook. And number three, I think the most important thing I could say to end this is the biggest single mistake I believe every single realtor most realtors in the country are making right now. And that is that they're all selling shinier versions of the same Ford. This is the absolute foundation of my coaching. I teach agents how to give better listing presentations, how to do better marketing, all that stuff. But the thing that really I'm so proud of is and you can do this on your own, I'm not just trying to solicit you to get in my coaching, is look at the process for selling homes. Look at what everyone around you is doing. They're all doing the same thing. And then think about Apple and Tesla and the Amazon and the world-class companies out there that are doing so much more sophisticated marketing, that are doing pre-marketing, building anticipation, building excitement, et cetera. And think about how to apply some of those strategies, put those into your home selling process. Your job is to get sellers top dollar. Anyone can sell a home. I want to say that again. Anyone can sell a home. What your job is, what a realtor's job is to sell the home at the absolute maximum price they could ever be sold for. That's what the superstars do. That's like being the heart surgeon specialist of real estate, being the Harvard of real estate, the top professor of Harvard of real estate, is that you have a finely tuned process for selling homes at maximum price. And so That's what I want you to do. That's my takeaway today, is to look at your process for selling homes and improve it, make it better. You want to list properties? You want to totally just own your market and listings? You go out and have a process that's different from everybody else's, which isn't hard because everybody's pretty much doing the same thing. They're just advertising in different ways, but they're doing the same basic process. If you have a process that you totally can show a seller that they can see without you ever selling it, just explaining it, that it's logically and transparently better for selling their home and increases, the keywords are increases the probability that their home will sell for more, you're going to list every home every time. How could somebody not? How could somebody not? So
Amy snuck in with a last minute question.
Okay.
All
right, we're doing it. All right,
Amy's a follow-up. She says,
and I was just drawing to a close where we ask everybody, is there a Maverick in you?
I know, I wanted to stop
All right,
before we
good.
ended it.
All right. Well, I can ad lib this stuff. I'm good.
I didn't want Amy to be left hanging.
Right.
So Amy says, how do you respond to the $990 seller who still only wants to pay $990 after you bring a buyer?
Oh, well, that's easy. So, so you have a 990, you have a listing on the 990 program, and that means if the seller finds their own buyer who's not with a real estate agent, that the commission's 990. So you bring over a contract. We're going to say not a buyer. You bring over, you have a contract on the property, and the contract is for X amount. And the seller says, well, no, I don't want that contract. I still want to just hold out and sell it only at 990. I do not want to pay the 6% commission. Well, obviously, you would say, then what I would say to the seller is, well, you wouldn't mind it if the buyer paid the commission, would you? Seller will always say, no. Well, no, if the buyer paid the commission, that's fine. And then say, okay, then let's just make sure that the price we counteroffer at is a price that you're comfortable that the buyer, that it's such a strong price and good price for you that the buyer is in fact paying the commission. Now, that's hard because I get it. Probably the seller's going to come back with a price that's maybe 4 or 5% more aggressive than you'll want them to come back with. But that gets the counteroffer. That's what you want. You've got an offer. You want to keep this thing in play. And so then you just work that counteroffer. And then when you get down to the end, remember in the beginning, Amy, I was asked the question, what's the best closing technique you ever used? Well, at the beginning, I talked about how you get the recondition the seller to understand if they don't take this final deal the way it is, even with the 6% commission in it, if they don't take this, they bought their home back like an investor at a price they never would do if they were really an investor. So that's what I do.
Great answer.
Yeah,
really good.
So,
awesome.
Okay. So, hey, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, connect with me on Voxer, connect with me in social media. By all means, think about your home selling process. Don't run with the herd. Look for gaps in the herd. That's what we're all about over here. We have so much fun. I mean, real estate industry, since my dad was selling homes 75 years, it's been done pretty much the same way. The only difference is really the internet, and the internet's really just a communication thing. It's not a different in process. So get thinking about how you can differentiate yourself, how you can do it in a way that's a positive way that helps home sellers get a better result. And you know what home sellers want? Sure, they want a good experience. Sure, they want you to be nice. Sure, they want their home to sell fast. But first and foremost, they want maximum dollars. And if you start thinking that way every single day about how you can tweak what you're doing the way Amazon does, particularly the way Apple and the way Tesla does, you are going to list every home every time. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. And as always, I not only salute the Maverick in you today, I want you to think about where is that Maverick in you, and look for him and bring that Maverick out. And then the big salute, all of us, we salute the Maverick in you. Bye-bye till next Wednesday.